Hey everybody, Scoutcrafter here again. It's Monday, start of a fresh new week. Everything's looking good so far. So I want to come down here. There's a couple things I have to do. You know, I like to enjoy to make the videos, but there's, you know, other projects I have to do on my own that today we're going to have to tackle. Kind of things that I want to do. Again, you do so much better work when you pick something you feel like doing, you know? And I have things that I've been putting off. My buddy Steve gave me these great pair of 46-inch bolt cutters that I've been putting off for 2 years. I'm going to get to them, Steve. Don't worry. Anyway, for today's video, I want to talk, first of all, you remember last week we did the cleaver and I asked you to tell me where you're from. I was blown away. I mean, I'm sure you all looked through the comments and there was a lot of comments and thank you very much for letting me know. But it's amazing where everybody's from. We have all over the world and it's just fascinating, isn't it? How people in Israel and North Africa and all over the place, and then, you know, most of the states are represented. I was trying to figure out states that, you know, a lot of people from Texas, you know, I love you, Texas, but all over the place, really interesting. And so that was a lot of fun. And then this challenge, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. You guys are going, I know you guys are going to knock it out of the park for this challenge, because it's always a fun challenge to do a tool caddy or a tool tote, because you know, that's something. How many times have we seen one? You know, I'll tell you something. Even these old-fashioned beat-up ones, they sell for big money on eBay and stuff, because I guess people just, a lot of people don't have the skills to throw one together now, and they might want one, so they you know, they'll wind up paying for it. But years ago, I mean, guys would throw them together on the job site, just like sawhorses. Remember sawhorses? You know, good carpenters, they would go bang, they'd knock one, ladders. Remember ladders? You know, like go to a job site and you see a homemade ladder that they would just, out of 2x4s, they would knock a ladder together and use it for the whole job and then toss it, you know, at the end and make a new one every job. So let's get to today's project. Couple things to do, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, our first project is a very unusual and rare pliers, and it's made by the NYE tool company. You could see here it's missing the N. That's either the letter broke off at the production or it was never stamped, but that's NYE tool. It was Harry Nye, founded in 1904, went to about 1964. And these pliers, very much like the Croyders. In fact, they have the same number as the Croyders. They could have been made by Croyder, who knows? But I like these. You can see here, I do love these type pliers because it's just a perfect size. The 8-inch, which as you can see is 1481-8. 8-inch, great size. It's got these type cutters. Now, the regular side-by-side jaw cutters that we're so used to, those cutters are okay, but when you're cutting like wire, and a lot of times if I'm doing something and I need to cut, you know, like hanger and something, these cutters are so good. And there's 3 of them, obviously, so they really do work good. So I just wanted to do these up because I just love these. You know, I love this. It's like such a classic. I love the fact that they close up top. You know how I am about the gap. I'm not crazy about when you have pliers that have that much of a gap. You know, for me, it doesn't work. But, and I like the embellishment on the handle. So we're going to do these up. The problem we have is this. We have a problem with so we'll hit the Dake. We're going to have to tighten up this rivet. Now, these rivets have always been an issue because over time, as it wears, and again, it might take 40 or 50 years to wear out, but then the rivet loosens up and there's really no way to tighten it yourself. Sometimes people use a hammer or something, but we'll do that with the Dake. And then, I got to clean up these 2 beautiful American locks. We'll talk about them. Talk about locks in a little while. Let's get to these. Let's get over to the Dake. Okay, we're here at everybody's favorite, the Dake. And I can't tell you how many people have commented on the fact that that Dake sticker is off-center. Okay? Now, to me, I always said, you know, off-center don't bother me as much as canted. But that came that way from the factory. You know what? I'm going to fix it today so that we can ease our viewers' mind. Let's take care of that real quick. Okay, there we go. We are now centered and straight, and I hope that helps out. I hope that Now, when people look at it, I know it used to bug a lot of people. So now so let's get to using the Dake for for pressing these pliers together. Now, when you're trying to figure out which side to press, you know, if you look, this rivet doesn't turn. You see that? That's stationary. You see USA, and it stays together. So that's solid in this piece here. But over here, you see the outside of the ply, the rivet is staying solid and the rest of the ply is moving. This is the side you want to press down. And basically what we want to do is we just want to take something that's around, putting over that, press it down, and that'll clamp it. Remember, that's no good. Too much play. The setup, I'm using a hardened nut. And the round part of this, you can see over here, will sit, there's a little pocket here, and if you move this around, it'll find, there it is, it finds its way into the pocket. And normally, if it was too big, we'd have to put a tape over it to make sure it don't move, but this one kind of finds its own home here, and it's right centered. And we'll put this on a piece of wood, not to mar the bottom of the pliers, and then put this right under here, and I'll show you, I'll give you a better eye view. Okay, we have everything set up, looks good. We'll just press this down. We make contact. There we go. Give it a, let's see, we'll bring it up to 3 tons. That's 3 tons right there. Don't take much. And we'll see how that does. Raise it up a little bit. Okay. Loosen up. Sometimes when it gets pressed that close, there we go. Now look. Now it won't even open. That's perfect because lubricant will work, but see how tight it is now? It won't even open and close on its own. That's what you want, because now any kind of lubrication you put in there will work it in. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what these NYE pliers look like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Let's take a look at what we did here. Now, you can see here the face of this. We did this in a nice, this is the factory, the way it would come from the factory. A little bit of a sheen, mostly like a satin finish. Look at that, all the pits are gone. Cleaned up the top here where it wasn't, you know, had a little bit of a gap, and just beautiful. Now, there is one defect on this plier, and that is there's a chip here from one of the jaws, but it still cuts. I'll give you a demonstration of that in a minute. And let me show you something here now. If you notice, I left the handles. This is factory bluing. Now, this isn't cold bluing. It's a hot bluing technique, and it's much more durable. And except for the inside here, the inside I did because, again, it has to feel right in your hand. And this now, you see how all these edges are beveled? You have to do that because you don't want any sharp. This has to feel real good in the hand, as it does. And it's just a beautiful pair, isn't it? You know, with that shiny face. Yet the factory blued handles, and, you know, look at the knurling on there. Just pretty. I always like these type style. Let me show you how they work. They are a good performing. Okay, here we have some vintage wire hanger. We'll try it with each one here. Okay, you can see that the bottom one will do. And then the middle one here, which is probably the most used one up here in the top. And you can see they're all very sharp. They work really good, very light in the hand to use. But the 8-inch is always a nice model. This, again, like I said, was manufactured by or for NYE Tools, NYE Tool Company. But yeah, these are really nice and really you can't have enough of them. Next up, like I said, this is a mosh, and you know, one thing I want to, when one of us succeeds, all of us succeed, because, you know, we're a tight group here, and I have to show you something that knocked my socks off. My buddy Ben, my good friend from the UK, he did a Baco pipe wrench, or a pipe cutter rather. You have to see this. Check this out. Is this not the most beautiful pipe wrench you have ever seen? And with that emerald green handle, oh geez, and Ben did it upright. So that's just something to make you, give you a little inspiration, give us all inspiration, pushing each other to the limits. That's fantastic. Okay, let's get back to our mosh. Okay, next up I want to tackle these beautiful American Series 10 padlocks. Now, I have a few of these, and I absolutely love them. Been collecting these for a long time. And you could see here the finish on here. You could see the machining marks, and these were just made so well. And they're just such a nice size. I just always loved them ever since I was a kid, so that's why I like them. But we're going to be doing these. We're going to hit them with the wire brush, then the fiber wheel. Now, when you do the fiber wheel, you got to make sure you plug up the bottom here. You don't want any of that fiber dust getting in there because it's pretty abrasive. But we're going to lubricate it and clean it out after we start, starting with the wire brush. Okay, now the locks are all cleaned up. Everything looks nice. Now what we have to do is we have to lubricate them. And I'm a collector, so these don't go outside anymore. They've spent their time outside. But what I'm going to do now is the first thing we're going to do is clean out all the gunk, the dirt, the dust, and everything. So get yourself a bunch of Q-tips and some good old 50-50. Half acetone, half automatic transmission fluid. And if there's one thing I could tell you, don't be stingy with the 50-50. Now what we're going to do is we're going to spray inside the lock, get everything out, and then we're going to take Q-tips and get in here, get all this dirt and grunge out, and keep doing it until your Q-tips come out clean. And you see all that dirt and everything that's in there? We're going to get all that out of there now. And don't be, paper towels, everything, just keep cleaning. Okay, when you're getting all your dirty Q-tips and everything starts coming out nice and clean. It's all clean down here inside the cavity, and you've been wiping it off and wiping it down. Then what I do is after the 50-50, I spray it with WD-40 just to get rid of the 50-50 and the dirt. Wash it out with that. Now, once that's out, now here's what you want. You want to dry as much as you can out with the paper towel. Then what I like to do is take, believe it or not, a shop vac and hold it up to here, and that'll suck out any excess, anything that's in there. The shop vac has a strong suction, will suck that out, and then we're ready for lubrication. Okay, now that the locks are all cleaned out, they're vacuumed out, they're dried out, everything's nice. You can see now what they do is from the factory, they put grease there. That grease gets hardened, and after a while, it's very difficult. And that's what gives you a lot of problems sometimes. But now that everything is operating nice and smooth from cleaning it, it's not lubricated yet. Now to lubricate it, what I like to use is called Tri-Flow. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. Been using it for years. And you give it a little spray inside the lock here. Okay, you take the key, the corresponding key, work it in and back and forth, and you can see how nice and smooth. Now, you're also going to spray around this ball bearing up here. Give a spray in there, and then a spray along the shackle here, where the shackle meets the body. Work it back and forth, wipe everything off, and there you go. Now, these weren't all too bad condition, but you do remember what they looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Take a look at these, huh? Aren't they beautiful? I mean, I like them to look new old stock. That's what I like. I like if you were to take this and, I mean, this has been out for years and years, but look how smooth this operates. Now, this is the key. And again, you got to polish up the key because, you don't want any dirt on the key. But once it's in, look, can you hear how smooth this is closing? Can you hear that? Just beautiful precision. American locks, they have a great history. Master bought them out a few years ago, but these were really good. And these are the older ones because you could tell from the key, and you can see it says Junk Brothers. See there? They were the original American lock company owners, and real nice. Now, one thing, you never want to store your lock with the key in it because it's no good for the pins. So what you want to do is I always put on a piece of cord like this, put it on here, and just make sure that your cord is long enough that you can operate it. Otherwise, you'll be cutting it every time you want to open it. So that's how I store my locks. So let me show you what's inside. Now, these clear acrylic locks have become very popular lately with people trying to learn how to pick locks. And you can see what's involved in a lock. It's more than you would think, And you can see here, this is called the cylinder here, right in the middle. And as you can see, the cylinder, when the key is put in here, these pins rest on the indents of the key, and all these pins have to line up. There becomes what's called a shear line between the bottom pin and the top pin, and when you have that shear line that lines exactly with the barrel of the cylinder, that could turn and then in turn open up the lock. And let me show you how that works. It's very interesting. Here is our key. We're going to place it into the cylinder here like this. Now watch what happens to the pins, okay? Now watch what happens as the key goes in. You see all the pins here line up, Okay, you see they're all lined up, and as I turn it, see there? As I turn it, see what happens? It opened up because the springs pushed all the pins down to line up, allowing the barrel to operate. And let me show you again from the top here. Now what happens with the top is with that cylinder, when it turns, it will release. Remember, it only catches on the inside of this shackle, on the inside of that shackle. Watch what happens. And the spring is under this side, which pushes it up. It's very interesting. I mean, when you think about, and here again, the pins and how a lock operates. These are available on eBay for a few dollars, but they're very interesting, especially if you're trying to learn how to pick a lock. You know, you could use this to see, and you know, as you're turning, you're trying to get each pin to line up and add a little pressure until they all line up, and then the cylinder will turn once again. Very interesting, huh? Acrylic, clear acrylic lock. So in closing, I would consider today a productive day. We got a lot finished, and I hope you enjoyed sitting around and watching. Hope you have a great day. Take care now. Bye-bye. Hey, I almost forgot, super smooth and no more shake.